Hello, hello, whoever is there. Oh, this isn't what I want. That's not gonna help. Oh, never mind. Ha ha. Let me go back. Click that. Click play. That's weird. Why can't I hear it? Oh. That's not gonna work. I'm just sitting here looking pretty. I might actually just paint this. Oh, wait. I'm like, there we go. I'm like, is that upside down? Like, are they having to look at that upside down? I don't know. I got the fan on, so anyway, there you go. So it says I'm by myself so far. So we'll see. See if anybody shows up and watches with me. My turn to be live for a little bit, and I'm gonna do this anyway. Might as well come on live and let you guys watch, let you guys sit in with me while I do it. Oh, there we go. That's what I want. I want to go to this. Oh, I'm gonna need eyeballs. I'm not gonna be able to do this without extra help with the eyes. How to make? Yeah, I don't need to dismiss. Library following. What's the name of that site? Someone hit love. Oh, my roommate's dog is outside, upset at something. Free archive sampler, free music archive. So I was trying to get this thing to play me some free music while I paint. And I apologize if you're sitting there waiting for me, painstakingly waiting for me to start. But, it's your birthday. Oh my God. Birthday songs? Well, of course that would be free. It's your birthday. That's funny. That's pretty funny. That is pretty funny. Like, I could paint in silence. I'd rather not have to paint in silence. One of the other considerations I have is for putting headphones on. So, I will be doing that. So, I don't know who's there, but say hi if you'd like. I do have a free little gift I've been giving to my new subscribers this week as I get them. After I have had people subscribe, I go find them and I send them a little treat, a little creative treat from me. Whether they like it or not, I don't know. I can't speak for them, but I think that the ones that are sent out, people like. So we'll see. Again, gonna try to do this. I still don't have my favorite brushes, but that's okay because I don't need them to do what I'm about to do. Okay, that music is obnoxious. So I'm just going to dive into this. Okay, so here I got this guy. And what do I want? I know what color I have in mind. Is it that one? No. It's this one. I had an idea of what I was going to do for some of this. So I did the inking on this yesterday, and I was going to go back over it with darker black. I was going to make a copy. I was going to do all these different things. And I just, I just decided, nah, I'm just going to come on and I'm going to paint him because I actually am going to use the black ink and I'm just going to see what happens. I'm kind of simplifying it for myself, basically, is the point. No fuss, no muss, no fuss, just straight paint. Real simple. Because, and the other reason I'm going to just do it this way and skip going through here and making like these big defined black separating lines of separation is because after I did the other ones, after I had painted the other ones, I had to go back over it and use black paint to reinforce the black lines of separation kind of thing anyway, because the watercolors, I intentionally kind of just go with them. I don't spend a lot of time caring about whether or not I go over lines or stay within lines. And so knowing that, I know I can do that later because I'm going to do that later anyway. And so I'm basically skipping out a step, taking out a step because it's not really necessary because I'm going to end up doing it after I do this anyway. So it's like I actually eliminated a double duplicate type step that I was doing. So we will see how this turns out. My robotic type guy in the background, and I'm visualizing, I'm trying to visualize like part of him is him, part of him is the heart, part of him is the rings around him. So I have to make sure that I get the colors I want, what they are, where I want them. I have to make sure I get those right. That's all. So, where am I at? Okay. Oh, yeah. I may have to turn that fan off. It's going to keep making the page flap around. It's funny, I was thinking about this whole project and how it's taken me down a road of doing things I used to do, but also doing things better than I used to do, or simplified version of what I used to do. It's kind of gone on both sides of it. I'm either doing something I used to do but simpler, or I'm taking something I used to do and have made it better. It just depends on which way you're looking at it or what we're talking about. And either way doesn't really matter much because the end result I have been in love with. So, and that for me is my entire success. My entire success is one, the fact that I'm doing it, and two, the fact that it's turning out the way that I'm envisioning. Oh, for fuck's sake, I'm going to have to turn that fan off. We're at that point in California, Southern California weather where it's like super freaking boiling hot as part of the day, and then it gets cold, and then you don't need the dang fan, and then you're like, yeah, it's like you have to have a hoodie. You don't need the hoodie. You got to dress in layers. Yeah, it's just, it's just June. Welcome to San Diego, June weather. So that's how it has been. Yay. I like this shade red. It's kind of sort of a darker pink kind of thing, more so than red. It's funny, like I really don't have a good true red that's in my watercolor palette. In some of my paintings, when I want true red, like really true, serious, like true red, I've had to use lipstick. I've used lipstick in a few of my paintings and nail polish in a few of my paintings to get the shade of what I want, because my color palettes, whether it was the acrylics or the watercolors, if I couldn't find it, I was going to use whatever I had to create it. Not the first time, probably won't be the last, that I have had to think outside of the box to accomplish something I want to accomplish. It says I have 3 people watching. Hi, Soul Stereo. Nice to meet you. Hi. That is someone following me on Twitter. That's so awesome. Today is the first day that I set my feed to go on to Twitter. Actually, I had never done that before. I've had Twitter for 12 years. Today was my 12-year anniversary of my Twitter. It's not my 12-year anniversary of my art Twitter page, because I have 3 Twitter profiles. The one that I celebrated 12 years for today was my stand-up comedy one. I started using it 12 years ago when I stopped doing stand-up in person. I stopped doing in-person stand-up on stage because my kids were super young and I needed to be at home more. And so I stopped doing shows, stopped doing open mics and stuff, and just switched over to using Twitter for my comedy. And I've been doing that for 12 years. Today was my 12-year Twitter anniversary. So it got me thinking. I'm like, I should probably go live on Twitter with my art. I never knew you could do this on via Twitter. Very cool. We follow each other. Yay! Yeah, I apparently it's through something called Periscope, and I've known about it for a while. I had just never set it up, and I was like, I should probably do that. I should probably do that today. Okay, I know what I want to do. I'm going to do this here. So this is so what you're looking at, my dear follower who's watching me paint, is a page from volume 1 of La Première Tome, which is French for the first volume of a series of haiku, graphic illustrated haiku books, basically, where I'm going to be illustrating the haiku using artwork. And okay, I had to turn off the fan because it was freaking blowing my page all over this and I couldn't get it to stay still. So there we go. I'm back. I was going to sit here and try to just grin and bear it, and I couldn't take it anymore. I could not take it anymore. All right. So what do I want? Ooh, I want blue. So I don't know how long it's going to take me to paint this. I started on this side because the areas are kind of, they're not all that small and there's not a lot going on in this particular panel on this side. So when I get down there, who knows what I'm going to end up doing. I don't want to be lazy, but I also don't need, it doesn't have to be a lot of I'm not doing a fine art on canvas thing like what you see behind me. You're doing a great job. I like to see watercolors. Aw. Yeah, so someone who knows a thing or two about comic books would know, or would probably do what I'm doing on a computer. and I really have no interest in coloring on a digital system. I don't know how is part of it. Secondly, I kind of dabbled and played in it, and I can't stand it. It really is. I'm not suited for it. But then again, as I was talking about one of my broadcasts earlier this week, was that part of it is that I don't have a decent stylus that works with my laptop tablet, and so maybe when the day comes that I can afford a digital illustration setup, maybe I'll try it. But until then, I will do what I intend to accomplish, but I'll just do it by painting these myself. By hand. Love that color blue. So vibrant. Thank you. Yeah, it's I have a couple of palettes, and this one is one of those ones that they're super simple. They're not some fancy schmancy expensive thing of watercolors. I just got them at Michael's. But I like the ones that are what do you call them? I guess they would be called primary colors more than pastels. I do have a few that are pastel, but for the most part, I don't really do a lot of work in pastels. It's not to say that I have any problem or have anything against pastels, because I don't. I just don't really. I don't work in a world of pale, muted colors. That's just not me. So I tend to work with this stuff. And what's cool about, so the other thing, I also chose to just come on here and paint this one without doing anything extra for these lines in here, is because I ended up repainting all the separation of the lines in another piece. Whatever works for you. It's about the technique you do will make it look great in the end, right? So since, for my new follower who's making me super happy because I'm not alone, this is a finished one from another page of the series. This is a 3-panel representation of a haiku. Thank you. So the haiku starts, of course, they usually start at the top. Let's see, where do I have this haiku in here? So this one is... Oh, I have a different one too. Okay, so I'll show you this one and I'll go back to painting. So this haiku is: darkness around me, quietly comfortable to sleep away day. And so the top talks about this darkness. I've got a representation of the Grim Reaper up here. Hi, Jilly Bojo. Jilly Bojo. I don't know why I want to say that with a French accent. Or Boyo? Buyo? I don't know. How are you doing today? I'm doing good. So yeah, and then I've got sleeping women in the mountains in the middle for the quiet, comfortable part. I have nice eyes. Thank you. And then I have a sleeping horse at the bottom. So that's my other one. That one's finished. And what I've been doing with them after I paint them is I go and I take a picture of them, and I use some of my techniques from my photography days to alter the picture, mostly crank up the contrast, strengthen the lines by darkening the black, that kind of thing. That was fantastic. Love your color palette. Thank you. I believe on my Facebook page, Doris Jones Labors of Love is the full name of my art-related pages. If you want to see any of the other pages or any of the other work I've done for this particular series, so this volume 1 has 10 haikus in it, and I'm on page 3 of 10. So I have 10 done of what I have. They're single paintings. So each haiku, I have a single page of art that represents the haiku. Can you tell me about your photography days? Oh my God, that was so long ago. I was a portrait photographer. I did portrait photography of children, actually. And the kids were great. The kids were fine. Working with children was easy. Parents, on the other hand, were a nightmare. They were usually demanding and picky and overly critical of their own children. Be amazed at some of the things parents will say about their own children, especially when you're trying to get a kid to smile in a certain way that the parent thinks is okay. That was a little frustrating, is dealing with those kind of people. Not all the parents were like that, but most of them really made you kind of think, you probably maybe shouldn't have been a parent. Some of the parents that I had to deal with made me think that a time or two. So that's about my photography days. Otherwise, it's so funny you asked me that, because I was talking about digital coloring earlier. One of the reasons I'm painting these and using my painting skills, watercoloring these, is I can't stand digital coloring. I need to try to be a little more fair and diplomatic. I don't know enough about it to have learned how to like it yet. And so I may eventually go teach myself how to do it. I might try and dabble in it. I've kind of played with it here and there, editing some photos, taking some pictures, doing some stuff online. But for the most part, I still prefer to do this. So far, I prefer to do this. I am going to get to a point where going back to photography. So when I was a photographer, I did I did 2 weddings and some family portrait type stuff. And the first thing when I was doing it, it was a very short-lived thing. I think I did it for about 1.5 years. Very short-lived. I worked in an actual studio as my day job, but then on the side, I would do photography for people. And so I did these weddings and I did these family photography things. And one of the funniest things I can tell you is that I would give them the raw images on a disc or USB, whatever it was. What did we use back then? I think it was those little like SD cards. I would literally give them their raw images, and that was it. I didn't charge them for, like, they would pay me a flat fee. I would give them their pictures on a thing, and I was out. And that was it. I did not do photo editing and whatnot with people's pictures. I had no interest in that. I had no interest in sitting there for hours on end and taking some families, taking all those pictures I just took and doing a bunch of editing and whatnot to them. I'm not that girl. I'm not that girl that wants to sit for hours on a computer and make all these photos in, all these different photo manipulations, editing type stuff. Not interested. So I would literally do someone's photo shoot, but I would give them their raw images on a disc and I'd walk away and I was done. When I was a photographer, one of the few reasons I even got some of the clients that I got was because I would not keep their photos. I don't know why photographers do that. Even if I ever went back into photography as a career, I see no point in owning someone else's picture. Yeah, I took it. Sure, I might have taken it. But if I'm not the subject in the actual picture, that makes no sense to me. It just makes no sense to me to own something. Like, why would I want to own someone's wedding photos and own some kind of copyright watermark bullshit on them? Like, no, those are yours. Have them. Have at it. That was my attitude. So, yeah. I don't really ever intend to do that again as a career. Not really. But what it did give me some skills for what I needed to do for this. So this is my first graphic illustrated book. I have other books that I've done. I have other poetry books that I've done. This is the first one that's using haikus. And I did that, started from a haiku writing project I was in last year. And so this is the first one using haikus, and it's the first one where I'm fully illustrating the concept of the poem. I have paintings and I have artwork in my other books, but it's artwork that existed before the book was ever written. It was artwork that, I just kind of threw in there so, to pretty up the pages. And it was never, none of that artwork was really created for the actual poem like these are. These are actually illustrations to represent the poem. I like your work that you've done behind you. Very nice. Thank you. Yeah, the pieces on the wall behind me are pieces that I have had to just throw into my own personal gallery of artwork that I've done because I had there's like 3 or 4 pieces on the wall behind me that I accidentally fell when I was holding them, and I was carrying them from where I had them in storage because I was going to hang them up for a presentation, and I actually fell holding them. So a few of those pieces on the wall behind me, as wonderful as they look, have holes in the canvas. So I do still have a lot of pieces that are not damaged that are for sale. Tons of work. I have tons of stuff that's still in its pristine condition of when I created it that's for sale. So lots of art, tons of art. I have a lot of stuff I don't have anymore because it's gone. I have an Etsy shop with some of my artwork on stuff, and most of what's on there are pieces I don't have anymore. Once I don't have a piece anymore is when I usually get motivated to go on Etsy and create some products with it because I don't have the original art anymore. So it's kind of like I try not to bother with doing a whole lot of products or stuff like that on a piece of art until it's sold. So you still look great. Thank you. Yeah, they do actually. I have a friend who he suggested that there are people apparently that can fix that. They can fix the holes in a canvas. I don't know how you would do such a thing. I mean, I have a visual idea of how I would do that. And maybe I will one day. Maybe I'll get my creative and innovative self going and I'll do it. Otherwise, hey, I love my art. I love all of my art, really. I mean, I haven't done a piece yet, really, that I don't like. Like, I've never stepped back from one of my pieces and said, that hasn't happened. So if they just hang on my wall, they hang on my wall. If I ever do show, I have thought about this. I've been looking into it. I might, now that we're getting hopefully back into a world where we're hopefully opening up, maybe, might do some of those craft fairs, art fairs. There's one up here near where I live that happens like every month or something, and I may bring them and just put them on like a 50% off type of table and see what people, if someone be willing to buy, because what I did take some fabric tape and tape them from the back. So if you're standing far enough away and you don't know it's ripped, you can't tell. Like, I know. Makes it more original. Coffee stains on them as well. Yeah. It's funny. Those ones on the wall behind me, you can't get coffee stains on them because they're sealed with an acrylic gloss spray. A lot of my paintings are watercolors and acrylics that are water-based. And technically, you shouldn't have to seal them. But I can't fathom the idea of them getting wet and having the paint. Like, if I got this wet right now, this would be ruined. But those, I could take that and I could run that in the shower and it would be fine because it's been sealed with a spray gloss acrylic. I was like, I may not be like when I got the idea to do those, it was because I used to do almost everything I used to do was charcoal. And when I was working in primarily charcoals, that's what I would have to do with the charcoals. I would have to seal them with something at the end, because otherwise the charcoal would it wouldn't stay. It would, one touch to it or one whatever, it would fade. So ages ago, I got it in my head to spray them. And at first it was just going to be, let me just spray them real, like this light coated type of thing to seal it in. And now, in a lot of cases, it takes even a watercolor painting, it takes the watercolor and it basically turns it into an acrylic, because the gloss spray is an acrylic. And once I've sprayed a watercolor on canvas or a watercolor on paper with that acrylic, you can't tell me. Like most people think they were acrylic, and some people think they're oils, because it takes any of this flat matte appearance of the watercolor. It takes it away and it gives it the sheen and the shine, because I use a gloss acrylic. It's just me. I like them. I like the shiny gloss. Kind of goes along the lines of why I do my stuff in bold colors and why I'm not a big fan of doing anything in pastels. I just have never really, it's not my palette. Although I've tried. I have a few pieces that I've tried. I've tried to do them pastel. They start off pastel. I get into my head I'm going to do them pastel. And then before you know it, they're all dark and colorful. That's just been kind of what happens. So if you haven't already, if you haven't gone and subscribed on my YouTube, please do, because I do have a draft PDF of the first part of this haiku series, Volume 1, La Première Tome, that has the, it's just a really simple PDF file that I've been giving to my new subscribers when they subscribe to me, so that they can kind of get an idea of what they're in for. When this is done and Volume 1 is released, it's going to have, each volume in the series is going to have 2 editions. It's going to have a color edition, like what you're seeing, and it's going to have a color. Let me how to do this. It's going to have 2 editions. One full color where you get to see all of the colors I chose, how I set it up with the color schemes and stuff. Sure, I'll give you a sub. What's your YouTube channel? So it's scrolling at the bottom, which is sad because I don't have enough people to give it my own URL. But if you Google or go to YouTube and type in Doris Jones Labors of Love, that will find me. You can't help but find me. It's Doris Jones Labors of Love is my the name that I use for my art, whether it's my artwork paintings or my poetry or my spoken word albums. That is the name of my art, over general company name basically. And it is with the exception of Twitter, because Twitter doesn't allow a username to be that long, but Doris Jones Labors of Love is how you would find me on Facebook. It's how you would find me on Instagram. It's how you would find me on TikTok. It's how you would find me pretty much everywhere. Twitter, I think I'm DJ LOL. Wait. I think I'm DJ Labors of Love on Twitter, unfortunately, because Twitter doesn't allow a name long enough for me to fit Doris Jones Labors of Love. So I think I had to shorten it on Twitter. And then of course I do have a Twitch channel. Oh wait, I see it on the screen. Okay, good. So yeah, so my Twitter or my Twitch, That's Doris Jones Labors of Love for sure. My Facebook is Doris Jones Labors of Love. Those are also, so when I'm live, like right now, when I'm live painting like I am, I am going to, I've only just recently started this. I didn't let anyone see me paint until Mother's Day of this year. So if you're seeing me, you're seeing I'm doing this I'm a newbie at doing this. I'm not a newbie at painting, but I'm a newbie at letting anybody see it. I had this weird hang up where I didn't want people to see me. I don't know. I had a lot of reasons, but it doesn't matter. Now I don't really care. I'm actually enjoying this part of the process of letting people watch me do what I do. And it's cool because I get to have company like you guys who I don't have to do. I mean, I don't mind being alone. I'm actually kind of comfortable being alone, but this is cool. It's cool when I have company. It's been really nice, actually. Oh, I'm honored to see you paint. Thanks very much. Thank you. Yeah, it's so funny. Like there was a part of me that thought, am I doing this because I want to make myself seem special? And it's not really the case at all. I was trying to there's a couple ways to explain it. So I was interviewed earlier today from my friend who has a podcast actually. And he was asking me kind of along the lines of why I didn't share my work. And I said, for me, what I'm doing right now is the equivalent of, it's so personal to me. It's so personal that I might as well be masturbating publicly. Is how personal it feels. And well, maybe not so much now, but definitely back before I started doing it, I was like, oh no, I'm not going live. What is wrong with you people? No. Now it's not it doesn't really strike me as personal like that. It is still pretty personal, but now I'm kind of digging the whole process because I've had a few people, they remember how the first time I was on here, I was nervous, or the day that I was using markers, or the day that I went back. Oh God, I did my first charcoal. Not ever in my life, because that's all I used to use was charcoal. But I actually hadn't done a charcoal in years, and I didn't. And since I started this haiku series, I've done some of my paper pieces with marker. I've done some of the paper pieces with the charcoals, and now you're watching. This is a watercolor again, and I've been kind of returning to some of the my old school ways of doing things. They're not necessarily old school ways of doing it, but to me they were, because the newer paintings or new way that I was painting are what you see behind me. They're acrylics and watercolors on canvas. That's primarily what I do now. So these paper pieces that I'm doing for the book, this is kind of a whole, not new thing, but it's kind of like I'm going back to an old way of doing my art, because I used to only work on paper. I didn't switch to canvas until a couple years ago. You're too funny. I actually have the Twitter that I celebrated 12 years for today is my stand-up comedy Twitter. It's called the Amazon Beauty. That Twitter is 12 years old today. I started doing stand-up 15 years ago, actually. My stage name was the Amazon Beauty. It still is. I haven't done stage stand-up comedy in 12 years because I have two sons, and so they were pretty young 12 years ago. And so I stopped doing stand-up because it was this late night weekend gig thing, doing comedy open mics and amateur nights and stuff like that. And so I was like, I can't do this anymore. I got kids to raise. And so I stopped doing stand-up on the stage. But I still write comedy. And yeah, I got a lot of different creative outlets. This is one of them. Stand-up comedy is one of them. This is one where I get to take the poetry and combine it with the art. So that's been kind of cool. The meeting of two of my... Oh, and what's really cool, so I'm doing this haiku series. I've got... so there's 10 in the volume. I've got 2 totally, completely done. I've got 2 that I'm painting. They're at the painting point. As soon as I get them painted, they'll be done. So that'll be 4 done, and then I'll have 6 left. Once I'm done with those 6, then I could publish the volume. But then once I get that out of the way, I will be publishing this poetry collection that it's written. I just need to finish it. The setting up of it, like the formatting and the paging and all that good jazz. I might illustrate a few of those pages too. I do have some illustrations already in it, and I might do more illustrating. I haven't decided. But then when I get done with all of that, when those are all done, said and done, I will be getting out my comedy book. I have a comedy book written called The Amazon Beauty Does Dating. And it's a comedy book about dating. And I'm looking forward to putting that one together because I haven't decided if I'm going to do it. I'm either going to do it as a comic illustrated type of thing, or I'm going to do it as a calendar. I've had a few people give me both ideas. I've had people give me feedback on the presentation of it in different ways. And I haven't made any final decisions about that, but we will see. Mostly just leaving that one to be right now because it's almost like I'm like a, what do you call it? I go where the tides take me when it comes to art, and this is where the tide brought me. It brought me to doing this haiku series. And now that I'm doing it and I'm in it and I'm working on them, I'm hell-bent to focus. This is my focus of creativity right now, is to get this volume 1, La Première Tome, done. I'm super excited about launching it, super excited about starting it as a series. I'll probably do 3 or 4 a year, every couple of months, do a graphic illustrated haiku book. Ultimately, it's going to depend on how long did it really actually take me to produce a volume of this series, because that's what I'm doing right now. Now, nobody told me it had to be done the way I'm doing it, because I am my own boss. So if anybody wanted to say, well, God, you kind of took on more than you can chew, or man, you're a slave driver. What is your boss? Well, I am the boss. I am the one who said, okay, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this. And so technically, it doesn't have to be this much work. But what would be the point in that? I don't know why. I don't know. I just got it in my head that I did it's so funny because I did the single page paintings, these single page images of each haiku. I did those first. And I thought that was all I was going to do. I'm like, oh, I'll just paint a picture per haiku, blah, blah, blah. And I get it done. And it's literally like the entire volume is like 13, 14 pieces of paper. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, well, that's not much. That's not really a volume. That's not really that makes no sense. And so that's what gave me the idea of doing these story pages where the page is a multi-panel page of different pieces of the haiku. It's good to be my own boss. Yes. Only with this, where this is concerned, I do have a day job that pays the bills. Totally separate from this. Oh boy. What's really been cool, so when I get done with painting one of these, I'll go back through it with black and darken up some of the separation of the black, you know, reinforce some of the drawing that's behind this paint. And then I will take photographs. But I'm also going to scan it. So when I got all said and done with the other pages, the ones that are the painted pieces of each page, I ended up liking the scan more than the photo, because all I really did with it, all I ended up doing with them was jacking up the contrast and the balance of the highlights, the colors, like for darkness and stuff a little bit, just to alter it a little bit. Otherwise, I kind of liked it just the way it was scanned. But I do want to give it kind of more of an impression of a digital thing as opposed to just a picture of a painting. So I'll probably still end up doing all of that at once in one setting where I'm looking at these pieces as well as those pieces, and then I'll probably find a suitable consistency for all of them, because I don't want to end up with a book where everything is so drastically different that it doesn't even look like the same artist did it or the same work, whatever. So we will see. I've done some of that work. I've looked at some of the way I want things to look. So I have ideas, but I'm not going to finalize anything until I'm at that particular phase in the process. But that's just typically what I would do. Ironically, this is like the second time I've had a piece that I've given it a name before I've even gotten done with it. Of course, La Première Tomée is not all that original. It's just French for the first volume. I just like the use of French words. Having grown up in southern Louisiana, it's kind of my pain homage to a youthful part of my. And some of these haikus, the other part of it is that these particular haikus were originally going to be part of the poetry collection that I'm working on. But I took them out of that collection to make them into their own series, which I think was an ingenious idea, actually, because now they get to be kind of front and center, and instead of being these like little filler poems, they themselves took on a whole brand new life, like brand new. They became the art, or became the main focus of the art, which is kind of cool. It's very cool. Very different, but good different. So I'm like just painting away. Ooh, it's dark. It's okay though. It's a really dark color. It's funny, I have to remind myself that sometimes a color that I'm used to seeing in my head, a certain shade or whatever, because I've been working on canvas, is not necessarily going to be that on paper. Like this purple is way darker on this paper than if I were on a canvas. And so I mean, it's fine for where I started or where I put it, but it isn't something I would use for the rest of what I'm doing over here, because you wouldn't see, if I do it, if I were to use that color, you wouldn't see any of my waves. And so I find this to be relaxing each time I see someone share their work. Oh, see it. That's so cool. That is so good. You know, I actually follow a couple of artists on Twitch. Aaron Blaine, I think Blaze or Blaine, I think I can't remember. I'd have to look it up. He used to illustrate for Disney. I follow him on Twitch. There is an artist, a painter who's going to be on my Spotlights show. Her name is Kate Grzinski. She's a genius. I love her work. She is someone I follow. I've actually gotten to see her paint in person, in real life. She will go to like a concert and she'll live paint at a concert, which is just mind-blowing. Just mind-blowing watching her. Another, there's a couple of them. I'm trying to think of their names. It's so funny. Like, I follow them and I know they're right there on my Twitch, but Christy Shen is an illustrator. She actually will go online. You can find her at Horatora Studios. She does digital illustrating, and she does a lunch hour illustrating where she actually creates for an hour online during her lunch. And she does that a couple of times a week. She actually has a lot to do with why I found myself brave enough to finally get on here and come live and be on here live. Another really great person to follow on YouTube, if you like watching people sketch, is Rich Parada. The name of the channel is called The Richness, and he is a comic book writer, illustrator, colorist. He used to work for Marvel, DC, and he is just genius. And so his page, his YouTube's the best place to find him, The Richness, because he will go live. He's actually working on a comic book, and he has his next campaign's about to launch, and so he goes online and will sketch or ink the pages of that piece, those art or those comic books. He'll do those live. He's another one that helped me get the gumption up inside of me that I needed to do this, to come online and like let people actually see me do stuff. There's a girl on Facebook, and I'm trying to remember what she's called. Something Mystique. It reminds me, like, I have a couple of people ask me questions about getting followed or having their work followed. And that's trying to think of people's page names made me just realize that the simpler, the better, is all I can say. You know, I'm not some know-it-all, that's for sure. But I do mentor people in a different side of the world, not necessarily art. But keep your page tagline simple. Keep it simple. Like, you know, most people can remember Doris Jones' Labors of Love, even though it's a long name. It's not that hard. Christy Shen, her comic that she illustrates is called Demon Bitch. That's very easy to remember if you ask me. Demon Bitch. Most people remember when you say Demon Bitch. That's a pretty easy one to remember. Or Horatora. Kate Grzinski's pretty easy, even though her last name, I had to look it up a couple times to learn how to spell it. Muted Dysphoria is her actual company art page name for her art. Muted Dysphoria. I love her work. She's so similar but very different. And it's kind of weird to say similar but different in the same sentence when I think about her work and mine, but I just love everything about what she does. So, of course, I'm also biased when it comes to Kate. She's part of my soul tribe. Yeah, I think I can remember that name. Yeah, she, think David Anderson, I don't know what if you like watching digital, like people do digital work. There's a lot of them on Twitch. One of the biggest compliments I remember getting was someone who hadn't been following me was they started following me simply because they saw me actually doing art that wasn't digital. I don't have anything against digital art. I mean, it's not my forte, but it was nice to hear someone out there appreciate watching someone do art like this as opposed to digital. Although, like, I watch people like the David Anderson guy on Twitch. I watch him do what he does, and I'm just like, blows me away. I wouldn't know the first thing about doing some of the stuff that those guys can do on a digital computer with Photoshop and stuff. It's just mind blowing how great of an image or great of an art they can create from that. It just, one of these days, it'd be nice to have those skills. And I have a feeling, I feel like the universe is bringing me there because I do have three. I have 3 children's books that I wrote for my sons back when they were younger. I used to tell them these stories that were not anything anybody had ever told me. They were just, I made them up. I made them up. I made up the characters. And over the years, those stories became longer or more intricate, or I'd add characters. And I have them written. I have them outlined and written. And one of these days, I would like to publish them and illustrate them. And I have this feeling in my gut that all of this push towards the digital world is pushing me there, because I know that for some of what those stories are about, I mean, sure, I could probably draw the imagery, of course, but do I want to spend that much time on? Although I guess, you know what, I did a digital coloring thing on one of my pieces one time, and I think honestly, I'm pretty sure it took me way longer than it would have taken me to do this. It took me way long. So I'm not trying to say that digital is less time consuming. I'm not trying to say that at all. I also am not that good at it. So it could very well just have taken me that long because I'm not that good at it. Who the fuck knows? This is turning out fantastic. Aw, thank you. Yeah, so I'm kind of waiting to get to the middle to kind of see what I want these center pieces to be, because I'm probably going to use something super contrasting. I was online one day painting, and one of my watchers asked me, what made you decide to use the color I used, or something it was when I was doing a piece with markers. And I literally was still holding the marker I had just picked up, and she was asking me about, and I looked at it, and I looked at the screen, and I looked at the question, and I just thought it was the color closest to me. It literally was how I decided. Some of it has no rhyme or reason. Some of it's just simply in the moment, at the moment that I'm looking at what I'm about to do, where it is on the piece, what color is it next to. I don't know. Some of it's deliberate. It's rare, but not rare actually. Sometimes I'm very deliberate about what colors I use and why and where. But a lot of the time, it's just whatever. It's just whatever. It's whatever. I'm going to make... So I have colors behind this heart, but I'm going to make this heart over here one solid pink, because I'm going to go back over it, actually, with black. So there's a couple of different themes going on in this piece. I've got representation of hearts, because the haiku talks about feeling someone, trying to feel them. Not physically, though. Feeling them without physically being able to feel them is part of what this haiku is about. Part of the this imagery is about trying to feel someone you aren't with. It was a poem actually written last year, but it wasn't really honestly written with all that much emotion or real life meaning behind it at the time. Since then, I had the experience of falling in love with someone who is not here, lives nowhere near me, and all of a sudden, or not all of a sudden, but then I find myself into this project and I'm doing this particular haiku. It was not written for him, was not written about him, but it 100% represents the impossibility of the relationship because he lives so far away. And so this particular piece has unfortunately brought quite a bit of emotion out of me. But it's rewarding still. But going back to the representation, it represents trying to feel your way into someone else's world, someone else's heart, without physically being near them. And how do we do that? Well, so that's in this haiku page, I put representation of sound waves. I put representations of satellite waves, the different ways that we are connected in the world together without being physically connected. Similar to what we're doing right now. Like I'm live streaming to these social media platforms and exposing myself in this world away from me. And this is one of the beauties of live online stuff like this. We get to see and we get to feel, even if we're not together, even if we're not in the same room. And that's been pretty cool about this whole process. That's been pretty cool. Ooh. So I don't know why it's coming to me to put all this blue at the bottom. You would think, oh, I guess it makes sense. So I have waves like sound waves. There's also imagery in here of music notes and stuff like that. And so that's also kind of a play on a way we can feel each other without feeling, because I don't know anyone that tells me they can't feel feelings while they're listening to stuff. I mean, I have entire songs that could tell you who I am as a person, just based on the way they are going to probably make you feel, or what the words say or convey or try to convey. And so that's why a large part of this is a use of music symbols to convey that way of feeling my way into someone else's world. I think music is one of those ways we can do that. Now, I don't have to be precise here, but I'm going to separate a different color above and below this heartbeat I've got going on that's going across the page. So, thanks. So exciting. Last night and the night before, I think I came on here yesterday, actually. One of the days, I had some pieces I did that I probably won't be finishing online because they're nudes and they're for the emotional burlesque book. They're not for the haiku book. Those were cool. Those were pretty fun. Their finished ones will be in the book. And so those are kind of cool. Like, I have no problem telling people that there's nudes in that book, but not necessarily going to get myself put in a timeout on the social media platforms because, God forbid, we put nudity on them, even though it's artwork. especially Facebook. They're all kind of prudes now, which is, I guess, okay. Some people just, even there's some things I just don't want to see. There are some things that I find too graphic and it has no place on Facebook. So I get it. It's okay. I'm not complaining, really, honestly, because I don't see any point in some of it. And the only reason they made any sense for being in that book is because that particular poetry collection is called "This Is Not Emotional Burlesque," and it's about I'm gonna get emotional here is kind of the point. In that a collection of poems, it in the title, it's basically saying, yeah, you're gonna get real shit here. Like we're not even gonna sugarcoat what's about to happen in this poetry collection. That's basically the title. Thank you. Love my color choices. Yeah, like it's great. What's really cool about some of what I've done so far, like the one I showed you earlier that's completed, it looks like what we see right here. Yeah. But when I take a photograph of this and I jack up the contrast or take the color or the lighting, make it darker or make it brighter, this becomes a very vivid, different painting, really, which has been really cool. It's been part of a cool, exploratory part of this whole process is the fact that, normally when I'm doing a painting of art of mine, I'm just doing it, I'm painting it, I'm putting it on canvas, I'm sealing it, and then I move on with my life, maybe hang it on the wall. But these are going into a book that I'm going to have printed and people can order them and stuff. And so now I get into this world of, okay, I'm going to take a photo, I'm going to take a scan, I'm going to do some editing, I'm going to do some photo manipulation on using software. And then it becomes a whole other medium, a whole other art medium. Because then I get into digital art and I get into photography art, and, even with the photography actually, because, I can tell you right now, if you don't know how to take a picture of something, like it's kind of, I guess you'd be okay, but I know how to take a picture is the point. Especially when it comes to some of this stuff. I've had to learn the hard way how to take a picture of something that's got a certain amount of color. You don't want to have a shadow, or you don't want to have it off center, all these different little things. And it's kind of funny because ultimately for the other pieces I did, it was the scan, the actual high resolution 600 DPI scans I used. That was what I ended up liking the most. These were fine. The photos were fine, but I liked when I was doing the actual photo manipulation of them, I ended up liking the scans more than anything else. Okay. So I'm going to get, which one do I want to use? This is going to be fun. It's one of those moments where I think, I probably should have did this first. But then if I had done this first, I probably wouldn't have picked yellow. And that's okay. It's going to be fine. Sometimes I get engrossed in what I'm doing and I forget, like, can people see what I'm doing? Is my painting in the center of the screen? Can you even see? Oh yeah, that's gonna look good. Okay, I like that. Ooh. It has been kind of not fun. This whole thing is knowing that these are really just mostly coloring them for being taken, scanned or pictured or whatever, so that I can digitally alter them, because it's given me this freedom. And yeah, okay, I'm painting, sure, but it doesn't have to be exact or perfect. And I'm kind of just, it's cool. It's kind of like I get to have fun. Well, I get to have fun anyway when I do my art, because I always try to do things I like as opposed to anything else. And so that's always a good thing, but it almost isn't even like I'm working. And that's how, that really should be how art is, to be honest. So that's a good thing. Bob Ross would approve. Bob Ross would say it needs to be fun. You need to feel like you're having fun. Art should be something you enjoy, would be something Bob Ross would say. And so, yeah, as long as you're doing that, as long as you're doing something that you're having fun doing and you're enjoying. So, and that I definitely am. So. Okay. So that, and then we're going to do this. Oh, it's a little more wet than I wanted, but that's okay. Put some over here. Luckily, watercolors dry like super fast. Even if you have a lot of water, even if you use more water than you meant to, like I just did, it's okay. It'll dry. And again, it works fine for what I need to do next in the process. Whether I take a picture or scan it, it'll work just fine. And I've thought about what to do with these when all is said and done. And, I may just spray them the way I used to finish off my painted art from way back, and seal them with the gloss acrylic or with some kind of seal spray, and they themselves, this piece becomes its own little piece of art. I think there's a few of the comic book guys I follow that they do that, where they've got the artwork, or they've got the book, or they've got the whatever they're selling, but the original pieces of art they also put on their pages for people to get if they want. if they want. Never even thought about that. Like I have these original pieces of art on the wall behind me, these pieces on canvas. But how interesting would that be to have a piece of art that is something that's in a book? Like the book exists or whatever, and people can buy the book or whatever, but I have the original art. I guess that would be kind of cool. I guess. If you're a collector. Someone who collects stuff like that. I can't afford my own art, so there you go. I mean, that'd be nice. But yeah. I still have people watching. Thank you for being there. It's so nice when I look up and I still have people with me, and I'm like, oh, I'm not alone. That's so exciting. I love that. Thank you. Sometimes when I have Christy on, well, most of the time I take my lunch hour with her. I will literally shift from my work mode and I will stop working and either watch her or just sometimes I've painted or sketched while she's on because something about watching her gets me inspired, it motivates me, gets me creative. The oil painting I'm in the middle of finishing. I started that while I was watching her one day, just out of the blue. I had bought the stuff a long time ago to do an oil painting because I wanted to just kind of try a new medium, see what I like, see what I thought. And I finally got it out and started it one day in the middle of watching one of her broadcasts. It just came to me. And I'm still working on that piece. I'm not done with it. Never worked with oil before, so it's been a learning process. Similar to some of what I've done with this project. Little bitty little learning steps of different kinds throughout this process. It'll be really interesting to see, because once this is dry, I will go back through it and blacken a lot of the lines that were here before. So that'll be really cool to see that contrast come through when I do that part. I usually wait until the paint has dried to come back through and do that. I actually need to get my black paint for my son. Last time, with the last piece I did, I told myself I was going to try maybe doing the black lines, like the finishing type of thing, using acrylic instead of watercolor. And I think I might do that for this one in particular, because I think I want something that's going to be... Acrylic goes on just pretty solid from the get-go. Like, you know, you probably only need to do it the one time and you're good. Whereas sometimes depending on what you're trying to go for, or what you're trying to gather or gain with watercolors, you may have to use more than one coat. So when it comes time to do the black, I think I might use acrylics for this one. A black acrylic, I mean. Not going to do anything more to the color, but use a black acrylic, a really strong, solid black acrylic to add the lines back, some of the lines. I kind of like that. It's kind of funny, like I didn't think about it, but it's kind of a play on grass at the same time as the fact that I picked this green because of the contrast in color to what I already had here. But now I'm looking at the heartbeat and the waves of a heartbeat. You know, doesn't look that different than blades of grass, really. Of course, that's what I'm thinking right now, at least. So. Whoa. A little darker than I wanted right there, but that's okay. Thank you for watching my company, keeping me company. Thank you. Just have these last pieces to fill in. I'm going to do them in yellow, and then I should be pretty much done with this one, except for the black part I'm going to do later. I like the yellow going on last actually is doing this thing that I like where it's all these different shades. So the yellow is the same yellow from the palette, but either because of what colors are near it or what colors are getting on the brush or whatever, the yellows in all of this area is all kind of different shades, which actually is just perfectly fine because those will definitely be different text or different shading, different contrast when I do the photography of this piece. And that I like. I like that. I could, if I really wanted to be particular, I could make it to where it's the same yellow all around. I mean, I know how to do that. I just, doesn't need to. Not a problem. Thanks for sharing a bit of your time. Aw, thank you. So one more little spot. And then I'm going to figure out what color am I going to make my satellite down there. I might make it gray. So yeah, so this haiku that talks about two people being in love but too far away from each other, not able to see each other, has, I've got the hands over the heart. I've got sound waves. I've got music waves. I've got this little satellite in the corner. The singular image for this piece has a picture of the world with the waves around Mother Earth and the two lovers looking at each other from different continents. It's a pretty cool singular image. This is kind of more of a grayish green than gray, but I like it. That's one of my favorite colors. Sometimes I use it as a primary color like I'm doing right now, or sometimes I use it as a highlighting color on lighter shades. I'll use it instead of black. Dang it. Much better. And my cute little satellite. Reminds me of Mystery Science Theater for some reason. Don't know why. My paper is all crinkly and wants to flip up on me. I have to hold it down. There we go. Puppy. Puppy outside. I think my eyes are tired. How long have I even been on here? Oh my God. Well, I've been on a lot longer than an hour. Oh well. No complaining. I'm not complaining. I knew I was going to do this piece and I'm going to do it till it was done. So it is what it is. And I am going to perfect. Okay. Okay. One last thing. Yay. Dang it. Like I want just enough paint to let me put a little bit of blue accents around, but not so much that it's like super, super obvious. What's cool is knowing that the photo or the scan, when I get to the part on the computer, things like that, just even one little line of difference in color is going to make a huge impact in the photo, in the final piece. because it takes all those little differences and there's all these different things I can do to manipulate the photo. Make it look totally different. And also similar to what I want to go for. Ooh. Purple heart. Added some purple to the heart. Oh, the camera way out of where it was. Okay, so that's basically it. Oh, this is upright for you guys. It was upside down. So there you go. This particular haiku, very nice. Thank you, Soul Stereo. Do I have that one out? Darkness? No, that's the other. Okay, so the haiku this goes to is wishing my heart could feel into his world of waves far away from mine. And the singular art piece that goes with this haiku is this. This is the singular one that is about the two lovers on the different parts of the globe, and they're not near each other, and there's a representation of the waves. Wow, look at that. Thank you. And as you can see, Africa, again, I used the heart in here. The heart of Africa is part of this visual representation of the same haiku. So each volume will have a single page painting like you're seeing for the haiku, and then a story panel page that depicts the same thing. The wishing my heart could. So like hand over heart. I'm wishing my heart could feel into the waves. And I've got all these sound waves and musical notes. I am going to, when I come back in here with black, I'm going to do some fine black detail down here of musical notes. I've got musical notes to add down here with black, as well as the sound wave. I'm going to re-blacken my sound wave and re-blacken my heartbeat that I've got going across. So those three areas will get quite a bit of attention for black. I may do those online live. I don't know. I have another one to paint. I'll probably do this one tomorrow. This is one I came on and I inked it last night. This is for one of the other haikus. So this is on my to-do list for the week. I'll be painting this one. I will be adding black to this one. And yeah, and so once those two are done, I'll just have 6 more to go. And then I'll be done with volume 1 until I give myself another project. There's always that. I thought I was done with volume 1 like a week and a half ago. And then I started on this whole other panel page project. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you so much. I hope Soul Stereo, I know you're still there. I'm not sure who else is still there. But I do appreciate you guys. I really do appreciate the company and having someone sit here with me and enjoy it with me. So have a great evening. Mwah. Bye. You're welcome. Thank you.